What is up? Welcome back to another episode of Figs Talks Fights. I'm your host, Brian Figueredo, and today we're going to get into UFC 249. We're going to give a brief down of all the results here, and holy fuck was this an incredible card. Now, it could have been because I haven't watched elite level mixed martial arts in 7 weeks. Maybe, probably a small percentage to do with it. This card delivered for all the way from the first prelim all the way to the main event. Maybe a couple of duds in there. Seriously, nothing to complain about. Worth your cable bill and the pay-per-view cost alone on this fight card. So let's get into it. First fight to talk about? Well, what other fight to talk about? You had the interim lightweight championship take place between Tony El Cucuy Ferguson versus Justin the Hybrid Gaethje. And holy shit, did this fight have some high expectations on it. And I hated and loved this fight all at the same time. And it seems if you want to hear what the hell I had to say about this fight before, check out this channel. I did some videos on it. But exactly what I feared might have happened. Well, there goes Khabib and Tony. Gone. It's not going to happen with both these guys rating at the peak of their prime. The iron was missed to be struck while it was the hottest. It is the new Wanderlei Silva versus Chuck Liddell that just keeps missing the mark year over year. What the hell can you do? They tried to make it happen 5 times. This is the game that you play, okay? But did these guys ever deliver a back and forth hell of a fight? So let's get into it a bit, okay? Tony Ferguson comes out in this fight trying to get his movement to distract Gaethje, trying to be as awkward as he can with throwing a multitude of strikes from punches, long punches, elbows, trying to kick at Gaethje, okay? But Gaethje was having none of it, wasn't biting on the feints, wasn't intimidated, wasn't taking a step back, staying very poised, very smart, landing great clean shots on Tony, not getting a little too overzealous anytime he got him hurt or rushing in there and putting himself in danger in the risk of exchanges. No, Justin Gaethje was on fucking point, looking sharp and incredible this fight. Pretty much, it was a back and forth fight, no doubt about it. It was competitive, no doubt about it. But it was very clear, this was Justin Gaethje's fight. The biggest highlight that Tony Ferguson would have had in this fight was actually at the end of the second round. Tony Ferguson lands an uppercut on Justin Gaethje, drops him. There's maybe about 4 or 5 seconds left. Justin gets back to his feet. Tony hasn't had a chance to pounce on it. Round's over. I think King Mo was talking about it, that if Justin Gaethje had a crowd there, he actually could have, this would have worked against him because he'd hear the roar of the crowd, probably distracting him a bit and thinking he needs to get back out there in the third round and just give it back to Tony, going back into that brawl style. Not a chance for that to happen. Trevor Wittman did such an incredible job cornering Justin Gaethje in this fight. In fact, Trevor Wittman does an incredible job cornering every single one of his fighters. Hands down, if I won a lottery ticket and somebody said, hey, you can go work your hands with anybody in mixed martial arts on the planet, top 5, if not top 3, if not the top guy to pick for me would be Trevor Wittman. I mean, the people he's been working with from even as recent as Rose, going back to Nate Marquardt in the mid-2000s, okay, and having a multitude of champions stop through his gym in Denver, Colorado. Hats off. Anyhow, back to the fight. In between the third and the fourth round, you could see that there was some concern from Tony Ferguson's corner, okay? They weren't in panic mode or anything, but they start making a little bit more wider suggestions with Eddie Bravo going, hey, let's try to go for an Imanari roll, okay? When you're trying to get way more creative and going down to plan B, C, D, it's pretty obvious your fighter is in trouble. I don't think Tony Ferguson nor his corner are even prepared to deal with something like this because it hasn't happened in years, if ever, before. Justin Gaethje was actually putting on the performance and the damage that Tony Ferguson is signature known for, okay? Tony's face was a mess. He was getting hamburgered up in this fight. Okay? It seemed to me, I was saying to myself as the fight kept progressing, oh, Tony's just waiting for him to slow down. Tony's just looking for his pace to just keep picking up. Justin Gaethje was there to fight all night long, picking his shots wisely, even at once again, Trevor Whitman, great cornering. Okay, some of these left hooks, and I mean, Gaethje throws a beautiful, tight left hook. Okay, not no swinging wild, just tight from the shoulder, turning his hip, beautifully done. But he was throwing the kitchen sink into those. Trevor Whitman was telling, hey, just take it 10% lower. Just tag him. He's got power in his hands. Just concentrate on hitting him. Beat him up. You don't need to kill him in one shot. And fuck, did he just ever do that? So, I don't think there's any controversy about this stoppage at all. There was at least 4 finishing blows, if not 5 finishing blows that were so significant where you're looking going, how in the hell is Tony Ferguson taking this? Okay? Tony Ferguson is such a high-conditioned athlete. Okay, that's what conditioning is there for. If you're going to get into trouble, if you are in incredible shape, your body is going to recover a lot quicker than someone who's on the couch in between fights, works out a bit, then just jumps right into training camp. Tony Ferguson doesn't have any of that shit. But anyway, about halfway through the 5th round, don't have the time in front of me, I apologize. Herb Dean puts a stop to this fight as it's very obvious Tony Ferguson's on wobbly legs. He's shaking his head no because Gaethje just landed a power jab on him and he's just trying to get out of the way. Gaethje's just chasing him down, lands another big shot. Herb Dean mercifully stops the fight. Okay, I know they got into a bit of a back and forth. Who the fuck can blame Tony Ferguson? Tony Ferguson holds the record in the UFC's 155-pound division for having 12 fights won in a row. And those weren't close fights. Tony Ferguson was fucking up everybody along the way. Okay? He had title shots scheduled out of the 5 times he was to fight Khabib. Okay? 2 of them was for an undisputed title, and the 3rd time was actually for an interim title. Well, McGregor just won his title fresh at UFC 205. He missed out on a hell of a payday. This is what I was saying before. I don't know how much I'm adoring this fight coming into it because as exciting as it was, as incredible as it was, we just lost Khabib and Tony. Hopefully that fight happens in the future and both these guys are still looking on fire as they are right now. Tony can easily come back from this. He's got, I shouldn't say easily, he's got a broken orbital. Who the hell am I to say easily come back from a broken orbital? Shit, I'd be fucking done, but I ain't a professional fighter. Nor are most professional fighters Tony Ferguson. This is a special kind of guy. So when I say he'll be back, I mean that complimentary to his grit, his determination, his tenacity, his toughness, and his willing to just win. In the end, he congratulates Justin Gaethje. Now, what the hell do you want to say about Justin Gaethje? Did anyone see 5 years ago when he's going through a war with Luis Palomino in World Series of fighting for that title? That he would come to the UFC and be the guy going, shit, if he can work his wrestling in reverse, a la Dan Henderson, a la Chuck Liddell, and just land heavy strikes on Khabib, we have an interesting fucking fight on our hands. I still have to favor Khabib Nurmagomedov because literally anybody that makes 155 pounds right now, I have to at least favor Khabib over. Tony was the closest thing that I could see just based on a styles clash, but Gaethje makes it interesting. We've never really seen Khabib in trouble. What, he took 1 shot from Michael Johnson, had a little bit of a wobbly leg, and pressed forward and beat the shit out of Michael Johnson after that? Come on. Maybe Gaethje, if not, doesn't flat out win the fight or catch Khabib, we're going to actually see a plan B from Khabib Nurmagomedov. I don't know about you. No, it's not Tony Khabib, but I am fucking excited for it. So let's move on with the card. Dominick Cruz comes back from a 3.5-year layoff to take on Henry Cejudo. Look, Dominick Cruz, for a 35-year-old bantamweight, his footwork actually looked pretty fucking decent. For somebody who's been out for 3.5 years, he looked and had lots of moments where he was the Dominic Cruz of old. It didn't matter. Henry Cejudo, I mean, after all the years fighting at 125 pounds, he's strong enough to be at 135 pounds. I think I've clearly underrated this guy's capabilities. Did I think he could beat Dominic Cruz? Of course it was in the realm of possibilities. I think any two elite level fighters, once they're in the cage locked together, everybody's got a chance. But I was actually thinking, if Dominic Cruz looks anything like his old self, Henry Cejudo's probably in trouble. Nuh-uh. Now, this fight ending sequence was a little bit controversial depending on how you want to look at it, okay? First of all, we're about 20 seconds in or left of the second round, and these guys have a clash of heads, okay? Henry Cejudo gets a cut right above on his hairline here, and it's just dripping down just right around his eye. Keith Peterson stops the fight, has the doctor come in, look for it, okay? They come in, 20 seconds are left, and both these guys are just sprinting, getting after it. Dominic Cruz goes to throw a right, goes to duck under and dodge a left hook return from Henry Cejudo. Nope, Henry throws a knee right up the middle as Cruz is going to ditch the counter coming towards him, which would come this way, he would duck under, jumps right into the knee, falls back on his ass, tries to get up on his feet. Henry Cejudo, so quick, gets after him, takes Dom's back, not completely, but from side control, grabbing one hip, tossing with some rabbit punches, gets in a couple of hard shots there. Dominic Cruz extends his arm out. Keith Peterson comes in. Does he rescue Dominic Cruz? I mean, to a certain degree, absolutely. It's pretty obvious he was hurt. Should he have been given the chance to recover? I mean, this is going to be a what-if scenario. It didn't happen. There's no sense of talking about it. But an interesting thing to note is that Dominic Cruz was saying Keith Peterson smelled like booze and cigarettes. What the fuck? Really? Professional ref, I understand we're in a pandemic. Maybe he just went to Florida for the first time in his life or hasn't got out of the house in 7 weeks. Keith Peterson's going out on the fucking town, going for Marlboro Reds and freaking double bourbons all night long. Who the hell knows? Interesting, though. And if that's the case scenario, I mean, is this really the time to be looking after commission members during a pandemic and, seeing if these guys are really capable? Yes, this is the perfect time to do it because they're not in high demand. Some guys going out on the fucking town, sucking back freaking Camel Lights and fucking Budweisers all night. Yeah, okay. Maybe you shouldn't be reffing a goddamn high-level world championship mixed martial arts fight. Moving on from that, Triple C Henry Cejudo gets the TKO win, interviews Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's telling him, look, you're one of the best combat athletes of all time. You're well on your way there, sir. Cuts Joe Rogan off and says, nah, Uncle Dana, it's been great. I'm retiring. I'm going to retire as the greatest of all time, greatest combat athlete of all time. Get into that in a sec. And, you know what it's going to cost if you want to keep me back. But he seemed, relatively sincere. Do I think he's doing this for a contract dispute? Maybe I'm being fooled here. I think it has something to do with it. But I mean, look, he's 33 years old. This guy, he's got a shit ton of life experience. I mean, going to the Olympics, the Olympic Training Center, winning a gold medal, becoming a professional mixed martial artist, winning titles in 2 different weight divisions. But he's 33 years old going, hey, I got a girlfriend I really like right now, so I don't know about this fighting thing. Fuck, Henry, really? 33, you got a girlfriend you just like now? I don't know about the fighting thing. Anyhow, moving on. Look, if he's holding out for a big fucking payday, good luck. Good luck. You're going to be sitting around till you're 35, 36 years old, and maybe you're going to come back not looking as sharp and fast and on fire as you do right now, Henry Cejudo. Don't play that game with the UFC until there's a union put into place or you have some sort of collective bargaining. Excuse me. Forget about it. Look at the history of every single fighter that's tried holding out for more money. Guess who's won every fucking time? The UFC. I don't think you're going to be the first guy to do it. Not even McGregor is pulling it off, and he has more leverage by himself than the rest of the roster combined. So if that's the end of it, congratulations, Henry Cejudo. For sure, you are a top 10 greatest of all time. I don't even know if you're in the conversation for top 5. So, I mean, if you feel good about it, if I was 33 years old, I just found a girlfriend I finally just fucking like, hey, maybe I would be in that situation. But, you do you, Henry, and hats off to you. Hell of a career, okay? 98% of the fighters, 99% of the fighters, 99.8% of the fighters moving forward won't have a career like you. So, serious, congratulations to you. Now, let's try to get through the rest of this card. Francis Ngannou versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik. What the fuck do you want to say about this fight? 22 seconds? It wasn't even a fight. It was a drubbing. Now, before this fight happened, I talked about it on this channel saying, look, Francis, being the heavier puncher for sure, doesn't have the more technical strikes out of the two of them. Rozenstruik has a 86 fight background in high-level kickboxing. He has the advantage. And look, even in this fight for 22 seconds, it showed because, look, they circled for maybe 8 seconds and then Francis just blitzed them. Literally misses with every punch. His hips start lining up. He's almost tight roping, just throwing a crazy combo. It's not technical at all. I'm not shitting on Francis, but I just have to call it how the fuck it is. Even if you see the overhand camera. I mean, his legs become parallel with each other as he's going in for a combination. Not 1 to a 2 and a 3 and a 4. No. Literally, like he's walking through the fucking mall shopping, but throwing haymakers at Rozenstruik. In slow motion, you can see Rozenstruik as he's backing up, lands a leg kick, lands a left hook, and just throws another right, just missing him, and he gets clipped by one under his left hook by Francis Ngannou. He's on his ass. He's out cold immediately from that. Couple of follow-up shots. Look, if Jairzinho was going to live to 82 years old before this fight, for sure he's only getting to 77. That was a hell of a fucking knockout and a life-changing concussion. Would like to see the guy take 9 months off or so. What's next for Francis Ngannou? Has to be a title shot. I think they should still try to go ahead with this Daniel Cormier and Stipe Miocic fight, okay? But if Francis doesn't want to sit on the shelf for that long, because it doesn't look like those two are going to fight and settle the trilogy until probably the fall, which means Francis Ngannou's not fighting again till at least next January, and that's if either the winner of DC or Stipe, okay, comes out of that fight unscathed and can turn around and fight 3-4 months later. And if DC wins it, that's pretty much it. He's going to retire. I don't know. Maybe the UFC can just get a top 10 or a top 11 guy, put Francis Ngannou in the co-main event just for a showcase fight to help sell the fight between the winner and Francis for the future. Moving on. Jeremy Stephens takes on, I believe, Kelvin Kattar. Okay, Jeremy Stephens misses weight by 5.5 pounds. Look, I ain't going to say shit. I've never weighed in as a professional fighter, but unprofessional. We're in the middle of an epidemic. Who the hell knows what's going on with Jeremy's life? He could have been sick. There's so many things that would happen. Okay, and Jeremy Stephens is the kind of guy, like, if he needed an organ transplant immediately and went into a fight and lost, he's telling nobody. So I'm going to give Jeremy Stephens the benefit of the doubt. Anyhow, Jeremy Stephens all over Kelvin Kattar for the first round. It's clearly that Kattar's just trying to find his wits about him. He's just trying to find his rhythm. Second round comes into it. Seems like he found his wind. Drops Jeremy Stephens. Wins it by a TKO. Incredible. Kelvin Kattar, what's next for him? I mean, he should definitely be fighting somebody in the top 5 or 10. Perhaps a fight against, oh geez, why is it escaping me? The Yair Rodriguez. Okay, Yair Rodriguez and both Kelvin Kattar are now coming off of wins against Jeremy Stephens. Put him in for a top contender fight moving forward. Then Greg Hardy is the first fight on the card. And I didn't write any of this shit down in front of me. I'm trying to fucking just do this off the top of my head and be real for you. So I forget the gentleman's name that he fought. Terrible fucking fight. I didn't like 1 second of this. And in fact, Greg Hardy wins it. There you go. Something fucking happened here. Anyhow, look, the Greg Hardy fight versus fucking that guy sucked, completely sucked, okay? I'm not a big Greg Hardy fan anyways. I don't know, probably something to do with his past. Whatever, I wasn't there. But moving forward, look, we were talking about it just a couple of minutes ago. Francis Ngannou, you want to put a showcase fight on for him? Fuck it, let's do Francis Ngannou versus Greg Hardy to the co-main event of Daniel Cormier and Stipe Miocic Part 3. Fucking great idea to me. Like it? Start fucking tweeting people about that shit or something. Whoever the higher ups are, I don't know. All that internet shit. Anyhow, moving forward to the prelim card. Donald Cowboy Cerrone takes on Anthony Showtime Pettis. This was a rematch of their first fight taking place in January 2013. A completely different fight from the first time around. Anthony Pettis focused more on his hands than his kicks in this fight. Donald Cerrone got a couple of takedowns, secured side control at one point, couldn't really do much with it. And Showtime Pettis wins on the scorecards. I think one of the judges gave him a 30-27 and the rest 29-28. 30-27, preposterous. The fuck are you watching? Probably the same guy hanging out with Keith Peterson the night before. I don't know. Maybe. But I thought you could have made an argument for Donald Cerrone winning that fight. What can he do? Cerrone could literally lose 7 in a row in the UFC. He's fucking going nowhere. It's up to him when he wants to leave the UFC. Next fight on the card, you had Fabricio Verdum coming back from a 2-year layoff from USADA. I don't even know what the hell he got suspended for. I mean, what else did people get suspended for? Tainted supplements? Whether he's a legit one or not, I don't know. Who gives a shit? Different argument for a different day. Comes back after a 2-year layoff against old man Alexei Oleinik. And it's funny I'm calling Alexei the old man because they're both 42 years old in this fight. But look at Alexei Oleinik, all right? You wouldn't guess it with the two guys beside each other. Nonetheless, Oleinik was very impressive. A lot of people I was talking to on Saturday night, they thought Verdum won. Some of them thought Oleinik won. Look, I thought Oleinik won, and it may have been by biases of me expecting Verdum to have his way with him, especially on the ground. I mean, that Kimura that Verdum had, I forget if it was in the second or the third round, nasty, nasty. Most people would have tapped 10 times over, at least 20 degrees less on the angle than Verdum had him. Okay, but goes down on the scorecards. Oleinik wins. Next fight on the card, Michelle the Karate Hottie Waterson versus Carla the Cookie Monster Esparza. And this fight sucked. They stared at each other for a good 15 minutes. They stare at each other more than the fucking perverts on Instagram looking at all their pages, okay? What the hell? This fight sucked. I love both these ladies, okay? I think they're both incredible fighters in their own right. I love Carla Esparza's grinding style, okay? I think she's an incredible wrestler. Michelle Waterson, her striking, phenomenal. Great footwork, great kicks, great side kicks. We saw none of that on Saturday. Apparently Esparza won. We didn't. Whatever. An incredible card. Can't complain about it. And both these girls, look, they are usually putting on incredible fights. So what can you say? Moving on to the next one. All right. The first fight to open up the prelims. Vicente Luque versus Nico Price. Holy shit. What do you want to say about this fight? Incredible. These guys just went on a back and forth brawl. What a war against each other. I mean, Nico Price, another guy with heart and tenacity. They ended up stopping the fight in the second round, or I believe it was the third round due to a cut. Look, Luque was going to win on the scorecards nonetheless. I thought it was going to be a 30-27. At best, if Nico Price could have put it on in the third round, maybe a 29-28. But this was Luque's fight. Going off on the Fight Pass portion of this fight card, and it wasn't even the Fight Pass portion. I think it aired on ESPN in the United States. It was on TSN here in Canada. Was Bryce Mitchell versus Charles Rosa. Look, Bryce Mitchell put on a clinic. I think he was winning. He's got a 30-25, even a 30-24 scorecard, winning a unanimous decision. Man, Charles Rosa, you want to talk about tough. You want to talk about a guy who's been on the mats so many times and knows exactly how much blood can just seep through those arteries just to make it through. That arm triangle choke in the first round, incredibly tight. Bryce Mitchell even had a couple of twisters on him, okay? Didn't finish it like he did in his previous fight, but damn, Charles Rosa is tough. Bryce Mitchell, I mean, this guy is seriously making some headway at 145 pounds. Would love to see him and Ryan Hall matched up. That would be an incredible fight to watch. Unless you don't like watching joints get manipulated, look, I'm a sick fuck. You might be too. I can't wait to see if they can put that fight together. No one wants to fight Ryan Hall. Come on, make that one happen. And your first fight of the night was Ryan Spann versus Sam Alvey. Look, I'm not a huge Ryan Spann fan or a gigantic Sam Alvey fan, okay? Ryan Spann, I only know him from the Contender Series, okay? This was the first time I've seen him on a actual UFC fight card, all right, in at least for recent memory. And Sam Alvey, look, I love smiling Sam Alvey, but I mean, is he must-see TV? He's must-see if he's on the goddamn card, but I'm not going to be saying like, oh man, nothing makes a card like a Sam Alvey card. Look, not trying to shit on both these guys. I'm trying to just give you an example. Now, my wife told me as soon as this fight started between two guys who are mediocre in my fucking books, that I was as happy as I looked since my son was born and since before then the day we got married. Oh man, did these guys put on an incredible fight, okay? Spann almost had Sam Alvey in a standing arm triangle choke right in the first round. Man, Sam Alvey, just what a tough guy. Waited it out. Couldn't believe he got out of that thing for a second there. I thought he was going to, like, it's caught. He's roasted. Good job staying up on his feet and not being, bullied to the ground in that arm triangle choke. So, wow. Look, overall, incredible fight card. The fact that this took place during a pandemic, all right? I think the results still remain to be unseen, but I have to give him a slow clap for pulling it off. The whole Jacare Souza COVID-19 testing thing, a little scary. I don't want to speculate any more on that shit. Let's just see what the hell happens, okay? Do some more fights because there's going to be more videos on the fights coming up this week. An incredible card on Wednesday, headlined by Glover Teixeira and Anthony Smith. And then Saturday night, it's Walt Harris versus Alistair Overeem. Now, who the fuck can fight Walt Harris right now? You kidding me? After him losing his stepdaughter? You kidding me? Sorry, if you're an Overeem fan, everybody's got to cheer for Walt Harris on Saturday night. Just out of fucking ethics alone. But anyhow, if you stuck around to the video up to this point, I want to say thank you very much. I appreciate you watching. If you enjoy the content, share it out there with people. Give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel. If you don't like anything I have to say, give it a thumbs down. No one's going to give a fuck. You do you. Till then, let's enjoy the fights this week. Have yourself a great night. Stay safe, all that great shit, and